Hello and welcome to the Complete Agent Podcast, where each week we get together to talk all things estate agency. My name is not David Warburton. My name is James Kendall, and I'm joined by my very good friend and industry colleague, Mr. Ian Storey. David's office actually has gone down with a bit of sickness, so he's having to cover this morning. Has had to go in, so unfortunately, those dulcet Boltonian tones will not be heard on the podcast this week. Although we may attempt a impression or two, but who knows? But anyway, we're back. We're firing. How has your week been, Mr. Ian Storey?
Good. Thank you very much, JK. Yeah, lots of activity. We filmed our 6 weekly market update yesterday, me and Phil.
Yeah, love that.
Which is based on the Rightmove HPI. And
yeah, I watched it actually. I watched the start of it, and do you know what I really love about? Obviously, I know you really well now, but well, yeah, do you know what it is? It's that. It's exactly that's all I was going to say, really. To be honest,
well, let's move on. So, no, go on.
I was just going to say you and I was going to pay you a compliment. I think you and Phil bounce off each other really well. Like Phil's really good on camera as well. Obviously, you know you're a seasoned pro when it comes to video. As we found out when we filmed the TCA videos at your house some 4 or 5 weeks ago, me and Dave were on attempt 568, and then it was like Scott was like, "Right, Ian, it's your turn, mate," and you were like, for one take wonder, sorted. But I just thought the videos between you and Phil, like Phil comes across really well. Obviously, he's knowledgeable, he knows what he's talking about, but like he's a great partner for you to do that. And you know what a great thing, consistency. I mean, I checked out a YouTube channel the other day as well. I don't know if I told you this, but I was talking to the team just about where I want to go with the content in the business, and I know obviously you're actively recruiting for a videographer at the moment, and I said these are the kind of things we need to be a media business. We're not just a house business. We're a media business. And you look at some of the comments that you get on some of the videos, and don't get me wrong, you're not going to knock Mr. Beast off his top spot anytime soon. But no. Your niche that you've got and the people that are interested in what you've got to say are interacting and asking you questions, and they will become clients of the future. And what I thought was really kind of rang true was a little while back. I mean, I'm going back probably 6 years ago now. I got a recommendation from Perry Power, from somebody, and you may have heard of him. He does a few bits in our in industry. Shout out Perry if you're listening. Probably not, but if you are, hello mate. But a few years ago, and I'm going back probably 6 or 7 years ago now, he recommended someone to me that was consuming his content from our area about estate agency, and they said, I've connected with him. I've watched his advice videos about pricing to entice and this, that, and the other. And I reached out to him, and he recommended you. And I just thought, it is just we are a content business as well. And I think as a business, if you're not a content business, you are leaving money on the table. But anyway, you're talking about your week, and I just wanted to pay you a compliment and say I think the videos were really good, and it's testament to the consistency for everything else in your business as well, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they just happen now. We pick a location. Yesterday, we didn't even have permission from the place we filmed until about 2 minutes beforehand. We were like, shit, where can we go? We went to the local pub.
In true Ian Storey style.
Yeah, we went to the pub, which does food on the high street, the Swan, which is like the tarply place to go.
Is that where I stayed when I came to see you that time?
I think so, yeah.
Coach house at the back.
We just went in, and that's it. We just went in and said, can we film here? She was like, that's fine, go and sit over there. You can make it happen if you want it to happen.
Yeah, nice.
So yes, but my point was that we were reporting on the market, which has shown amazing bounce, so far in January. Brilliant numbers of instructions on the market, asking prices up, buyers up as well, but nevertheless, there's still a high of properties on the market. So we were talking through how people need to price sensibly and market well. It's always the same message, just delivered in a different form every 6 weeks, But no, in terms of stories, we've had a great start, mate. Yeah, I think 8 sales agreed, something like 170 viewings booked, offers on a couple in the 2 million range in the last week, as well as the gold dust. So feels like it's good. How about you? Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we're not. We've been a little bit slower on sales to start. We've got a lot of dependents knocking about at the moment. We've seemed to have picked up a load of dependent sales. Obviously, we haven't marked them sold yet, but we've got a couple of houses where 2 or 3 different people are chasing them subject to sale. And I think it would just unlock a couple of big deals that will happen. So we've only sold 4, but I don't mind saying I don't normally talk figures on the podcast, but those 4 sales we've done are nearly 70 grand's worth of fees.
Amazing.
So, what a great testament to the sort of upper end of the market.
Yeah,
instructions have been great as well. So, we've got some really good stuff in the, I suppose, the sort of kind of 400 to 800 range. I like to refer to that as the gold dust. Those of you that listen may know that. It's a common phrase I use.
Yeah,
you've used that a few times, haven't you, mate?
Yeah. No, I got it from somewhere. I can't think where. Yeah. Good line.
But yeah, so, instructions are really good. I mean, to put it into context, we've got, what have we got? I think 9 on the board or 8 on the board that are currently in photography. We've listed a fair few already, and we're really good at spinning business as well. Maybe we'll unpack that a bit later as well. But what I mean by that is, if we get local house to sales that inquire through us, we're very good at getting ourselves through the door, and trying to chain build as well, especially if there are houses that have been on the market for a few months. And maybe there's a bit to unpack on that, because we had the got a bit of discussion and debate actually on the private Facebook group. So if you are listening to the podcast and you're not in the Complete Agent private Facebook group, there's some really good debate going on at the moment. And we were talking about listing prices and launch prices, and how things work. And yeah, it's created a little bit of debate amongst people in there. But week overall has been good. We've got deals on the board, we've got instructions in the pipeline, but I think it's good. We're going to unpack this week a bit about the HPI, what the market's doing, how to unpack and articulate the data. I also wanted to talk through one of the things that we're doing at the moment is we're going in on sort of price realignments and how we're doing that. How it's being received by clients, the objections we're getting, and how we're overcoming them. I just think it would be a value-packed episode. Probably not the longest episode, but a value-packed episode. I'm currently reading, I don't know if I said to you off air, mate, I'm just started reading Alchemy, which is a book by Rory Sutherland. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's kind of a marketeer. He's done the rounds with Daniel Priestley, he's done the rounds of Stephen Bartlett, etc. He's switched on. He's a clever guy, and basically the book, the underlying kind of message in the book is that not everything that works is logical, and logic isn't the only answer. Sometimes, just getting on with it and doing it. And also, humans aren't logical people either, which sounds like a bit of a strange thing to say. Humans are emotional people that make decisions, and justify themselves based on logic as well. So, there's a great bit opening part at the start of the podcast, which sort of segues nicely into what we do at TCA, or one of the things we do at TCA, about direct mail. Now, he was saying that they send, so he owns a marketing company, and they're working on behalf of a charity to try and get more donations. And they sent 400,000, maybe 500,000 actually, direct mail letters out to different areas. And they did it all in different ways. So the first one was kind of the standard way, like printed name on the front of the envelope, like standard cheap envelope, standard cheap paper. That was kind of like the test or baseline. The next one was the style of the envelope and the quality of the letter. So what I mean by that is the thickness of the paper, and a premium envelope. That was the next 100,000. There was one where the envelope opened slightly differently. There was one where the letter was written slightly differently, and it said, for every £1 you donate, we will give you 25% of what you donate back, part of a government tax-free initiative. And the last one was they were hand-delivered. So it said in the letter, this has been hand-delivered by a volunteer. So what do you think got the best response? And I might get this massively wrong. So that was one of them, but it was also the so that one and the premium feel of the envelope actually got more responses.
Interesting.
And I thought that was really interesting because of what and how we send our direct mail in TCA, without obviously giving everything away on the podcast. If you're just printing envelopes and sending them out on cheap paper, and I actually, and I was talking to Gatesy about this. Was it yesterday or the day before? Because obviously, me and Si have been good friends now for nearly six years, maybe a bit longer, and when we were working together not working together at Home Search, he was at Home Search. Obviously, I had my agency. We used to send loads of letters out through Home Search, and we did well. We got instructions off the back of it. But what is interesting is when I really think about it and I go back through the data in my mind, the people that responded to the sort of hand printed, lower quality copy paper, single sheet, compared to what we send now, which is a multiple page market update, on premium paper, etc., etc. If you held both in your hand, you could see a tangible difference in quality between the two. The message may be very similar between the two, but there's a perception, I think, of quality between the two. And what I have noticed is the instructions that we've got off the back of how we do it in TCA and how we send them out compared to the instructions that we got from the printed envelopes are worlds apart. And so let me put this into context for you if you're listening to this. If you're, and the response rate was okay, to be fair, and we do still send some buyer letters through that means, through Spectre. But just to show you, for example, what I mean by this. So one of the instructions we won, two actually that I can think of, were at the upper end of the market, and this I'm talking about the printed envelopes here. I'm not talking about how we do it at TCA. I'm talking about the old style, the cheaper way. So we say the premium and cheaper way. So the cheaper way, they were bigger houses, but they were kind of like bigger by default. And what I mean by that is it's kind of someone that's bought the house 35 years ago, on when salaries and the gap between salaries and house prices were a lot different, and they've ridden the wave of the housing market over the year, and what was a probably executive property at one point is now a sort of upper end of the market, when you walk into the house, the carpets haven't been changed for 25 years. The kitchen's been done 30 years ago. They're very clean and tidy homes, and it's not. Please don't think I'm being pretentious in any way, but you can see there's a marked difference between a house that someone's lived in and not done anything to for 30, 40 years, which is what happens, and then the kind of quality of somebody that responds to the way we send letters out. So, for example, the most expensive house we sold was 3.5 million, and it was 3.5 million quid's worth of absolute quality. They had like a Lacanche in the kitchen. The appliances were Fisher and Paykel. They're just everything. They had a Control 4 home automation system in there. It's the difference between, in some ways, and some of the richest clients I've had have had the worst cars. But just to articulate it to make sense, these had a Porsche in the garage, couple of Range Rovers on the drive, and the other house, the cheaper house, had a 20-year-old car that had seen better days, and you just see the difference between what you send out. And so it really made sense to me in the book when I saw the quality of the envelope and the quality of what goes out dictates the quality and resonates with the person that responds. And obviously, we've been looking at different ways to send direct mail, etc. And it really made me think that, yes, you can save money by doing things, printed and automated and just sending them out with printed envelopes. But if you really put the effort in, how much have you? So if you save, let's say, for example, we send 10,000 out. If I save 7.5 grand by sending it that way, have I saved 7.5 grand, or have I potentially lost 50 grand from the people that would have invited me out because they can see that I put a number of it's the marketing that we do, isn't it? The amount of times we've talked about the Bulldog marketing on the podcast, where they've got it all in a a clip and they've kept everyone. And if one then comes, but then I started thinking the other way. I was thinking, well, maybe we need to spend a bit more on the paper and our letters and, emboss our logo. And, does that then have, a better effect? And I just went down a bit of a rabbit hole, but I just thought I'd mention that because I know direct mail is obviously a big part of what we do at TCA, and it's the reason that a lot of people get in touch. And it just really made me think, actually, that really makes sense. And humans aren't logical people; they're emotional people that reason with themselves on logic. We had a client this week, or potential client this week, classic, where I went to a Val area that I do really well in. I've got lots of stats to back up. Why I am the kind of agent of choice in that area. And then ultimately, the sellers decided to choose a cheaper agent, which was frustrating, and it's actually the agent they bought through, despite telling me that they didn't have a great experience with it. An 18-year-old showed them round. The whole process from start to finish was not great. But, at the end of the day, they're half the fee. So it is what it is. And, what you really want to respond to with those people is they're half the fee and they'll tie you into a long contract and their marketing's rubbish and blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, the best way to reply to those sorts of people is not to get defensive because they've already made their decision. They're in their mind, they're thinking, well, are we going to overpay by paying somebody 2% for our house? Because if they valued it as similar value, it is what it is. I knew when I went into the house and I knew that they'd done the kitchen, but they hadn't done the utility at the same time, that there was a good chance they weren't going to be one of my clients. Very nice people, but you just know if someone invests in quality in their own home, they're going to invest in a quality agent, and there's a good chance they're going to choose you to sell. So I just thought I'd mention that as well. But it's always important, guys, if you do lose the Val, don't say what you really want to say, because it just makes you look bitter. And if you've got a decent lead gen strategy in place, you'll have plenty of people that do want to work with you and plenty of people that do want to value you. So you just close it off. I sent a very polite message and just said, look, appreciate you, respect your decision. Hope it works out for you. But if it doesn't, my number's here, give me a call. And it's as simple as that. Move on. So just going through the HPI, because we were going to talk about that a bit as well. What I do find interesting, because, the headline is, and it frustrates the hell out of me, is how much prices have gone up and the bounce. And again, me and Gatesy were talking about this the other day. It's, is it just agents saying to sellers, oh yeah, we'll go on at that price. That's, it's just do what you want to do. But then, the numbers don't lie. In, slightly further down, 1 in 3 homes that's on the market has been reduced.
Yeah.
So it's still a very price competitive market. Obviously, you've gone through this HPI. You've talked it through with Phil. What is it that sticks out to you?
What stuck out to us was the increase in price, first of all, in what's coming to market.
Yeah. And what do you make of that? What's your view on that?
Well, I think whenever we've seen it in the past, it has correlated to a busy marketplace.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of properties being reduced, but, you can only really judge it based on what you see personally, can't you, in your own company, ultimately. And what we've definitely seen is strong sales at the start of the year, a brilliant year last year, and strong sales so far this year.
Yeah.
So to me, it correlates to a good market. Of course, a certain percentage of those will be overpriced and will need reducing. But it was interesting to see that it was the biggest rise in Rightmove's history.
Yeah.
That's a big number, isn't it? It can't all be down to agents overvaluing, because there are a lot of properties selling. I know you just got to take the average, haven't you, really, across the country when we're talking about these Rightmove HPI stats. But then you also, certainly when you're speaking to your marketplace, need to translate it through to what's happening on the ground in your area.
Yeah.
And for us, and from what I see from other agents locally, properties are selling. They're definitely selling, and there's a good amount of buyers across the board.
What is important though, and just on that, mate. So just to jump in, is the pricing, is getting that pricing right. So we had, one of the deals we've wrapped up this month where they wanted to go on at $1 million originally, and obviously, I appreciate it plays into what I've just said now, but they wanted to go on at $1 million, and it was never 1 million. It was always 950, in my opinion. And the data suggested 925 to 930 ish. So, 950 max. Anyway, it happened at 1 million. Nothing was happening. We were getting the odd view in, but the market just didn't agree with the price. And I said, we need to go offers over 9. And she said, well, my number's 950. I said, well, I appreciate your number's 950, but at the end of the day, what you want and what the market's prepared to pay, there might be a disparity between. So, if 925, 930 comes, that's your. And then she was like, well, this is my price. This is what I need. I was like, well, look, we'll give it a go. But if we're going to make it happen, it needs to be offers over 9. What about if we do offers over 935? Yeah. No, we do offers over 9. She goes, well, no one's going to pay over 9 if I do that. Well, if you get offers, you don't have to accept them. But equally, you're employing me as the expert here, and this is what we need to do. Anyway, so we got over ourselves, and she agreed to go offers over 9, and we wrapped it up this month at 950 because we had 2 people that wanted it. I was like, brilliant. I don't want to say I told you so, but
I told you so.
But because the thing is, when originally that offer started at like 895, and then it was like, I told you so, told you they're going to offer less, and I said it's a starting offer. I said we reject it and we go back.
Calm down.
We've been very clear about where we lie with this. Anyway, we've negotiated over a few days, and the next thing 950's done. They're happy. I've got other clients that I'm trying to get down as well at the moment. I've got one at sort of 965, I think it is. Silly price, but unfortunately, I'm multiple agency with a large agency that will not be named, and basically, there needs to come down in price. And I said, look, it needs to be offers over 9. And their view, the other agent said, oh, maybe you should just do offers over 925. So, well, what's that doing? How can you give that advice? As a large national agent, it just goes to show, with respect, how out of touch they are with the market. And the latest Rightmove stat from the data science department is about getting on a price band is now 16%. So if you price on a price band, you get 16% more views than you do if you don't. It used to be 11%. It's now 16%.
Wow, amazing.
And I sent him the slide, the image. Gatesy sent it to me a little while back. There's a Rightmove seminar. I sent it to him and just said, look, this is what it is. And he's a very switched on, logical financial guy. He works in finance. He gets it. So we'll see how it goes. I just want to sell the house and get it gone for him. But I think this is where we need to go. And I just think I wanted to say on the pricing point, it is so crucial to get your price right. But equally, just going into the next part of it, I think the mortgage rates are playing a big part in this. The sentiment seems to be good. The city's view, or the IMF, certainly seem to think that there'll be 0.25% base rate cuts by the end of the year. So we could be sitting at 3.25% BOE base rate by the year end, which I do think, because it obviously impacting the market, but I also think it's improving sentiment as well.
No question. Also, my mortgages are due up next year, so that'd be very nice if we're ending the year on a number beginning with a 3, not 4. Before we move on to the mortgages, one thing that I really picked up from the HPI was the amount of buyer inquiries and how that jumped after Christmas. So buyer inquiries jumped by 57% and new listings by 81%. It was the biggest recorded Boxing Day we've ever had. Now we don't launch on Boxing Day because so many other agents do, and I don't think you stand out as much. So we launched the first week back in January. But
same.
Massive. I mean, they're massive numbers. 81% in new listings and 57% in buyers. Of course, as we know, there's loads on the market as well. So it's definitely not a seller's market. But it really feels like we've hit the ground running this year, and it's great. Another interesting thing that someone said to me yesterday, a client, we had an offer on his house. It's on offers over 2 million. I've pushed the guy. I've got him to 2 million. Just trying to get him a bit higher. The buyer mentioned the mansion tax.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I said to the buyer that, it doesn't come in until 2028.
If it comes in.
And if it does come in, house price inflation will have pushed it over 2 million by then anyway.
Yeah.
So you're going to be paying it anyway.
Yeah.
Really, if you buy it for 2 or if you buy it for 2.1, you're going to be paying the mansion tax.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was quite a good line to have in your back pocket for anything at that kind of level.
100%.
And as you say, it might not even come in if we get a change of government. Fingers crossed by then that it may have been removed anyway.
Well, I think the max it'll be in is for a year anyway. And let's be honest, if you've got £2 million to spend on a house, the mansion tax is a £2,000 a year tax at 2 million. So are you telling me that you're buying a £2 million house and you can't afford 0.1% of the value?
Yeah, of course.
It's ludicrous, isn't it?
It is.
But I think the thing is, it is just a bargaining chip that people are using to their advantage. That's ultimately what it is.
And I think it could have been a lot worse as well, couldn't it? I mean, we touched on that yesterday we touched on it in our market update after the budget, and then again yesterday. And I know the three of us have discussed it off air, as it were, and so many budgets just come and go, and it really feel like that one just came and went, and not even in the consciousness at all now, in any way, shape, or form, which is great.
I do feel like that has helped the market this year as well, because there's a lot of pent up demand as well.
It's a bit like last year, we had the stamp duty rush, didn't we, before Christmas? It's a bit like COVID, when there was 2 months of no one moving house and there was pent up demand then, wasn't there? So it's come back, hasn't it?
So anything else from the HPI that you want to unpack that you think is relevant for people to articulate? I mean, you've got talking about so to the mortgages into context we talked about quickly. Someone with a 20% deposit could save £100 a month compared to this time last year. Which it isn't necessarily £100 a month isn't necessarily a game changer, but what it does mean is that you can borrow more.
Yeah, exactly. It means you can borrow more, and psychologically, it's good, isn't it? If it's just a positive. It's a positive thing for the market, isn't it? Of course, £100 isn't a huge amount of money, but it's a positive thing for the market overall.
Definitely, without a doubt. If you're buying it again, big levels as well, because I think there is a lot of people that sell the sort of upper end of the market that we speak to. I mean, I'm talking here when I say upper end, I'm talking 1.2 to kind of 2 million. That the upper end, when you get to like 3, 4, 5 million quid, it is cash. But when you're at that million to 1 to 2 million, a lot of it is mortgage. And also, a lot of people at that level is smart money as well. So, for example, I remember I had one buyer that could buy this house cash, but he took a £1 million mortgage at, I think it was at 5%. He said, well, if I take this mortgage at 5%, I can stick that £1 million that I've got cash in something else that's going to earn me 8.5%.
Yes, exactly.
And compound interest as well. So he said, there's no point me sticking it in the house. Yes, the house price might go up, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to get this sort of return that I'm going to get in these investments that I've got. So I was like, right, fair play. So yeah, it is, yes, for your average person, your typical mover buying at 400 or 500 grand, it's only £100. But if you double that or triple that, it does start to add up and make a big difference. First time buyer homes are up in price.
Everything's up.
Yeah. I see that. I think the pricing point that is really crucial at the moment is those in that mid to upper market where we obviously do a lot of our business. Just making sure the price is right, because prices always should be there to entice. Interestingly, we're also seeing inquiries on homes that we've had on the market sort of pre-budget and sort of back end of last year that weren't getting a lot of interest. And one in particular, I've got 3 people fighting over it now, all independent. That wasn't happening before. So again, that is sentiment into the market. So quick question for you, just on pricing. Are you doing many sort of price realignments at the moment, and what?
We haven't done so far this year, really, because I don't think we have any. We have probably 1 or 2 that need it. One hasn't been on that long. It's one of Matt's listings, and he's sort of working that client. It probably needs to come down onto the price point. It went on for more than the price point. But no, other stuff's got interest across the board, really. Quite confident most of it will go.
Yeah.
We've put quite a few on since Christmas, and they're all keenly priced. Sort of 80% of them on price points.
Nice.
We also last year went through quite a big process of getting stuff price changed before Christmas. sort of in the autumn time. So we went through that process. So not really at the moment, no, but it'll come.
We've got a few where we're carrying. I mean, in all honesty, they are listings we inherited from other agents where we said, look, we'd give it. This is what we need to do, but okay, to satisfy your curiosity, we'll give it a go at the old agent's price. So there's a few bits happening there. We're again the line. I think it's Dave's line actually. We've got some clients that we've said, it's on a, I don't know, let's hypothetically say 800 grand or 875 or whatever. If someone comes along today and offers you 825 cash, what are you saying? Oh, well, I'm taking it, James. Right. Well, what we need to do to get there is offers over 8.
Yeah.
Having those conversations with people is absolutely crucial into getting them on the market at the right sort of money. Because as you said, you're carrying a lot of stock at the right sort of money. And what's the 3 things we can control? The quality of the marketing, the exposure that it receives, and the frequency and the quality of the communication. Outside of that, is out of all of our control. It's all about making sure that the price is right and the market. What is it you said? If it's priced well and marketed well, it will sell.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not rocket science. It's just being able to convince the client to go for it.
100%.
And when you can, everyone's happy all round. We've got one at the minute. I won't mention the exact price because of sort of sensitivity, but we've got one at the minute where we had it on last year for more than I suggested. High-end home. Had a limited interest, but basically didn't sell. And then he wanted to come back. He was dead impressed with us, so just stuck with us. Wanted to come back on the market because he found the house to buy. We got it back on at the price point this time, and it's had double the amount of viewings. And an offer at the right kind of money. And he can now see, that was the right thing to do.
And you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just can't always convince people, can you? So, and then you have to look at the commerciality of it.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you will put it on the market for maybe a bit more than you think it should be. And as long as you've got that relationship with the client, you can either take it off, take a break, reprice it, change the price, reduce the price accordingly,
Just made me think there, actually, going back to that Rory Sutherland book earlier. And he was working for, I can't remember the name of the company now, but it was a product, and they were trying to sell more products. And he said to him, well, in order to sell more, you need to put the price up. And what I'm not doing is relating this to houses, because I don't think sometimes it can work. It has worked for us before, but putting the price up. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about fees. And just by cutting all of your fees, so if you cut your fee to, so for example, if we cut all of our fees to 1%, would we win more business? Arguably, we may do. But I mean, it's double, sometimes triple the amount of work for the same. But also, I think you then lose a lot of the clients that you want to work with.
Because you definitely would. Yeah.
Look at it this way: if a Ferrari tomorrow all of us said, do you know what, the whatever it is, the F430 is no longer £250,000; it's now 20 grand, and we'll do 0% finance on it, and everyone was driving around in F430 Ferraris. Like, everyone would be like, well, I don't want one of them because it's just cheap, isn't it? Everyone's got one of those. But it's that perception of quality, that John Lewis line.
Also for us, we're not selling a product, are we? We're selling a service, and the quality of your service would just go through the floor. View. I mean, we could go out and charge 1%. We'd get everything. We'd probably have 100% conversion. But we all know what happens when you've got 100% conversion. It's because your fees are too low or you're overvaluing.
Yeah,
so,
or both.
Or both, yeah. So, no. I mean, you would damage everything, wouldn't you? Probably not in the short term, but quite quickly afterwards, you won't be able to cope.
But we've been there though. That's the other thing. Cast your mind back.
We have.
We've done it and we've been there. And from a business perspective, and I think a lot of people, like, if you're listening to this, this could be the message that you've been waiting for from the gods, and that is your business is not a public service. Your business is there to serve you as well, and you need to charge a proper fee and earn proper money so you can build the business that supports your dreams and your lifestyle and your aspirations. It's not a public service. You don't have to take every house on that you go to. You need to choose, be in a position to pick and choose the clients that you want to work with, but also charge the right sort of money and give the right sort of service and marketing that the clients that you want to work with resonate with you and your brand. So, if you're charging 1%, and your conversion rate is, maybe you don't know what your conversion rate is, but let's think, and we're talking about gross conversion rate here, not net conversion. Everything you go out to, if your gross conversion rate is like 60, 70%, you're too cheap, or you're overvaluing, or both. So 30 to 35% is probably the sweet spot. If you're charging the right sort of money. My conversion rate is about 29% at the moment, and that's me going and quoting 2%. So
between 30 and 40 is the right kind of range, I think.
But also, if you're going out, and you quote 2, and someone really wants to use you, you can come. If you really have to, from a commerciality point of view, you can come down. If you broker a deal at 1.75% at 2 million, let's remember you've come down from 2. You can't go up from 1. So
true. And the call you want to get from the client, is yes, please go ahead. But the second call you want to get from the client is, will you negotiate on your fee?
Yeah.
The second they say that, they want you, don't they?
The thing is, you can unpack.
Game is on.
Do you know what I do find interesting, and I'm not throwing shade at anyone in particular, but I do find interesting that there's a lot of like courses and things that you can do out there from people that are not practicing estate agents, that they'll give you the tips and how to objection handle. If someone says this and then just do that. Well, mate, you haven't sold a house for 25 years.
JK, there's most courses that are out there are run by people who either aren't estate agents practicing or aren't achieving the right fees. They are agents, but they're not achieving 2%.
Yeah.
And there's loads of them. I also don't think there's anyone like us that's come from low fixed fees to 2%. And the three of us have all done that in different areas of the country. But that was about to be a sales pitch.
Yeah. Well, it's not. But the thing is, we walk the talk.
We talk the walk?
And no, we walk the talk.
No, we walk the talk. Yeah, that's right. Right.
Anyway, good episode, value packed. Hopefully, we'll have the Boltonian back next week. Maybe not. Maybe it's better without him.
Maybe not.
Maybe that's to be discussed.
I think so. Yeah. Let's just do it without him, mate.
So, thoughts with Dave. 1 like, 1 prayer. Share the podcast. We will see you next week.
Bye.